Hey guys, what's up? Back with another video. I'm going to preface this by just saying that this is kind of for people that don't understand how I go about figuring songs out on drums, or for people that maybe people that aren't musicians, and maybe this is for kind of people who aren't musicians who maybe don't understand how I go about figuring songs out on the drums. And so this is just a little bit of what goes on in my mind behind that. I know not all of you are drummers, and that's all right. Some people are just interested in music theory or music in general, and maybe this will help you get more interested. I don't know. Maybe it'll help clear it up and make you want to learn how to play drums. It's not that hard. It honestly just takes practice. Of course, if you get into rudiments and you get into some very, very intricate things, it gets very complicated and it makes my head hurt. But yeah, if you just want to learn how to play songs, it's not that difficult. So first, to figure out a song, I listen to it a ton. I learn the different sections of the song. I learn the different parts, the different mechanics, kind of the dynamic of it, the feel. I listen to everything and just try to get a good feel for it. So then that way I can break up the song within sections like the chorus, the verse, the intro, the instrumentals, break down if it's a metal song, etc. And then after I do that, I break up each individual section by drum parts, like the kick, the snare, the cymbals, and how that's kind of played out. So I'm going to go through each section of the kit and kind of explain how I think about that. Let's get started. So first and probably most important is I figure out the kick. The kick pattern could be just quarter notes, 4 on the floor, otherwise known as eighth notes. It could be 16th notes. It could be 32nd notes if it's a double bass pattern or whatever. And determining that gives you a good base for literally the feel of the song. And you don't want to overcomplicate it because then that makes it sound muddy and gross. Then the next thing I do is the snare drum. I figure out what beat does the snare get. Is it on 2 and 4? Or is it on 3? Or is it on 4? At first it was kind of a feeling thing, for me to kind of just figure out kind of how that fits in. But I've also been in band class for like 8 years. And I also know how to read music. And if you don't, just kind of learn how to count to 4 and then just kind of understand how it feels and learn the timing of the snare drum. So it's not that complicated. You just have to sit down and just listen and figure it out. And then the next thing is the cymbal. So like what cymbal is being used? Is it the hi-hat, the crash, the ride? What cymbal is being used and how is it being used? What's the subdivision? Again, is it quarter notes, half notes? Is it eighth notes? Is it 16th notes? How is it? Like, is it a 16th note groove on the hi-hat? Is it eighth notes? Is it just quarter notes? Is it a simple rock beat? So that's kind of like what I do to go through it. So let's say for just a simple song like I Love Rock and Roll, okay? A lot of songs like that are just the kick is 2 eighth notes right at the beginning. So it's dun, 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 okay? And then the snare would be right after that. So it would be kick, kick, snare. So and then the hi-hat is just filling in that gap with eighth notes. So that's how I go about it in all the scenarios. So just to recap, listen to the song a lot. Listen to the song a lot to internalize it, figure it out, and then break up each individual section by the parts of the drum kit. So figure out the kick, the snare, the cymbal, and figure out the subdivisions and how many counts for each of those. And then after you figure those sections out, you practice each section, then you put each section together, and then you make the song. It's a lot easier said than done, but that's a good starting point for you, I think. And that's usually what I do, like I said, just to figure out songs. And even how I write songs, that's kind of how I go about thinking about it as well. It's a very systematic process, I guess, if you want to look at it like that. This is kind of how I am. I'm kind of a systematic thinker. So the process of drumming for me is easier. I don't have to remember notes necessarily, but I have to remember patterns and theory and how I go about doing those things. I guess it's just a little bit into my brain, kind of just to show you how I figure things out. Maybe show you some cool B-roll that I took of my drum set and some other things. So I hope you enjoyed. Comment down below or message me if you have any questions, and I will see you later. Bye. What do you think of this setup? I think it's pretty close to my normal setup, right? Getting down with some drum talk today. Gonna have to do this.